Go Thunk Yourself. Self-Help Techniques. Become Rich, Famous, a Success. By Dr. Robert Siewerstell. Copyright 2006 by Robert Siewerstell. All rights reserved. You can learn secrets used for centuries to acquire money, power, success. Follow this simple 14-day plan to become rich, famous, and a success on your own. Go Thunk Yourself. Self-Help Techniques Introduction. God helps them who help themselves. Benjamin Franklin. A Way to Wealth. Learning how to thunk is quite simple. In fact, you do it all the time. It's a native function. What I cover here is the key secrets of self-help that all best-selling authors agree on. Once you've studied this book, you'll see how all the rest of the best-selling self-help books simply tell you different parts of the same scene. In other words, they are selling you just a few points of thunking which people do natively anyway. Through this book, I'll give you the key 14 points of self-help thunking so that you can use these age-old techniques and improve your life. So why did I need to write a book, and why do you need to read it? Because all these guys tell you bits and pieces of the same current of thought. They all have the same system, but no one has put it into one single place before. Most of this is common sense, but unless you know the whole scene, you don't get the complete result. But your result is up to you. Nothing is achieved without investment. There are no free rides, free lunches, or lottery winnings without something being done or given in advance, or in return. Another phrase, time worn, you get out what you put into it. So this book guarantees nothing. Results will vary from person to person, just as hair, eye, and skin color aren't perfectly identical in any two people, even twins. This book only gives you an option to do something about anything you would like to improve in your life, from an extreme of getting outrageously wealthy to simply getting along better with a loved one, or an enemy. People who want to change something in their lives will find some way to do it. This book is nothing but an introduction into the vast field of self-help or self-improvement. It became necessary to write this book after a study was undertaken of several successful self-help books written as far as 6 centuries apart. This was when a small set of principles showed up in every single book. All of the books in this study were successful when first published, and are being reprinted and sold today, some of them hundreds of years after their authors died. That was the criterion. They had to be still in circulation, or bestsellers long after their authors died, showing that people generally still found them useful and workable, not dependent on the personal magnetism of the author. Then some best-selling modern self-help books were reviewed as a cross-check of the accuracy of these points. The common points that each had were summarized and included in this text, modernized and made simpler to remember and use. The book was written in a modern style to make it simpler to read and understand. I don't have to tell you these will give you success. That the majority of these books have been continual bestsellers for as many as 90 years or more proves people have found them useful and applicable. There are hundreds of thousands, if not untold millions of people who have improved their lives or gotten prosperous from using these principles, many even before you or I were born. I really bring nothing new to this world with this writing, only putting it all in one spot and giving you a simple system to apply these to your lives. This book's system of distilled principles will work as much as you put yourself behind them, and you will get out only in proportion to what you put into your study, your application, and your doggedness in seeing this through. As I've said before, this book is just a mere introduction to the common system of self-help subject, as described by the referenced authors. All the references I've used to boil down these basic points to their system are listed in the appendix at the back of this book. You can, and should read these yourself to further your own understanding and ability in the areas you've chosen to improve. All are available on the internet, in one form or another, and many are still being actively published today. How to get the most out of this book. There are 3 commonly known approaches to study. 1. Study with a purpose in mind. What are you trying to get out of this book? Why are you reading this instead of watching TV, listening to music, or doing your homework? 2. Don't go past anything that doesn't make sense. While some things you have to accept on faith for the moment, while the author then gets on with explaining it, or giving examples, watch out for things like oddball nomenclature, or technical terms which look and sound weird to begin with. But don't let that throw you off. You can always look up what the author said through a dictionary, and maybe a thesaurus and / or small encyclopedia. The important point is to understand what the person is trying to say. But if that author is simply illogical or inane, then do your own research. Maybe some points have some sense to them, but the writer came up with a nonsense conclusion. As well, a reader or author can words in the wrong usage, or describe something inaccurately. Look, you're the reader in the final analysis, it has to make sense to you. That applies to this book or any other. 3. Make sure you can apply it as you go. While some textbooks and professors make their readers swallow a huge amount of theory before they get to if they ever do some real use you can put this stuff to, it's often best to work out examples for yourself as you read. This keeps it in the real category, not the I'll probably never use this anyway back burner section of your mind. So if you get to a point where you can't actually put it to any use, go back over the earlier sections to see where it quit making sense, sort that out, and then come forward. You might have to sketch it out or make some notes for yourself to do the sorting. As has been noted by various education and self-help professionals, doing is the best way to learn in addition to reading or studying. Dale Carnegie also boiled it down quite simply at the beginning of one of his public speaking books. In order to get the most out of this book, and to get it with rapidity and dispatch, do these 4 things. A. Start with a strong and persistent desire. B. Prepare. C. Act confident. To feel brave, advises Professor William James, act as if we were brave. Use all of our will to that end, and a courage fit will very likely replace the fit of fear. D. Practice. These apply to learning about self-help in more ways than you can imagine. A great deal of these applications will be explained or pointed out as we go through this book. But the above advice also applies to many different in-life situations, such as learning to drive a car, or taking a college course. The other point is that this book is not just read it and stash it. The best use for this book is to 1. Read 1 chapter a day, plus any relevant section of the referenced authors for that day. 2. Do the exercises each day. 3. Finish the book by reading each chapter and summary. 4. Start over, repeating 1. 3. The reason for this is that repetition enables you to be more sure of being able to apply what you've studied, and also to see the results as you go along. The exercises are written on a gradual slope of increasing difficulty and improved ability. When you finish off the book and start doing the first exercises again, you now will get much more out of the exercises, since you are coming back to them at a new, higher level of understanding and ability. You can get also more out of this book by reading the other authors listed while or after you read this book. I'm not published by these book publishers, and most of the referenced authors have been dead for some time excepting only one, so I don't get a dime from sending anyone their way. Simply, this is an introductory book, a summation of what these other authors researched. It's usually best to get the original data from the original sources. This book is just to tell you who to look up on what subject, so you don't have to burn needless months and years of your own life winding your way on false leads trying to get out of the labyrinth. Self-help is an evolving subject. There have been many changes over the years, and more will be coming. Here I hope you get a thorough introduction to the heavyweights in the field, and get well started on your own journey of self-improvement. So, good luck. As the Irish saying goes, may the road rise up to meet you on your journey. This recording was made possible due to Dr. Robert C. Worstel and his Go Thunk Yourself book series. Visit lulu.com and get your copies for yourself. You too can become rich, famous, a success. Dreams can become reality.